tonight we want to look at this very, very important topic where we are discussing with one amazing gentleman. Ndichazoti angozviintroducer momuziva kuti ndiye ani but tiri kuda kuti tinge tichitarisa isusu takatarisana nemagariro edu atinoita munharaunda dzedu kuti vanhu vanenge vane albinism kazhinji vanoshorwa, vanotarisirwa pasi, vanoonekwa sevanhu vasingakwanise kubudirira muupenyu hwavo. And in many African societies, individuals with albinism continue to face a stigma, discrimination, and various social barriers, making it difficult for them to reach their full potential. So today's segment, we want to bring you a story of triumph, a resilience, and the power of self-belief. And we are honored to be joined by a young man who has not only broken barriers, but is also changing the narrative around albinism across Zimbabwe and Africa. He has stood tall and emerged as a beacon of hope and a symbol of courage. Through his confidence and charisma, he has challenged perceptions and will inspire generations. And his journey is actually a reminder that with determination, purpose, and the right mindset, no dream is too big to achieve. So tonight, we will hear more about how he started his journey, the obstacles that he had to overcome, and the moments that shaped his character. We will dive into what inspires him, how he found the confidence to stand on a continental stage. Yeah, and we are talking about Mr. Albinism Africa. I think ndotongoombera ndiri ndega, but I know kuti kwamuri ikoko ndiri kuziva kuti muri kumuomberera ndiye watiri naye nhasi, because the whole purpose of this program is to inspire mumwe munhu ari kumba ari kufunga kuti upenyu hwangu hwaguma, hapana chimwe chandokwanisa kuita. And this is a university student, by the way, zvichiratidza kuti anogona chikoro, ane zvimo zvaari kuita, achitarisawo kuti matarenda ake ndezvipi zvaangarambe achiita, achizvisimudzira, achizvivandudza. So we want to encourage others also vanenge vane tarenda avo avanawo kuti chisimukaika, musagara, musangomirira kuti pane achakuitirai. You have to take that bold step, sezvatiitwa nemukomana wechidiki watinaye nhasi pachirongwa chino. Help me welcome Lordwin Timire. He is the reigning Mr. Albinism Africa and University of Zimbabwe Student Representative Council Vice President. Welcome, Lordwin. Welcome to this program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Kune vari kuda kutoziva, ndikona WhatsApp vamwe vari kutoisawo messages, but you can also follow us on our Facebook page, that is Star FM Zimbabwe, kuitira kuti tifambidzane tichikurukura muchimuona munhu watiri kutaura naye. We can engage ipapo as well. You can send in your contributions, your comments per Facebook. You can send them per WhatsApp per 0772 162 651 0772 162 651. So Lordwin, let me start by saying congratulations for becoming the first ever Mr. Albinism Africa.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I thank God for this platform that you actually have held to me.
So start by telling us about yourself. Who exactly is Lordwin?
Well, nowadays that question usually gets difficult for me because a lot of people, they know me from different lenses. But Lordwin is a person with albinism who grew up in the rural areas of Buhera. Buhera kwamtepe zasuku nokuti kwachinotimba. That's where I actually grew up. Then I went to Nemakonda High School in Chinhoyi. That's where I did my Form 1 up to Form 4. Then from there, I got a scholarship. I had an opportunity to go to Watershed College. That's where I did my A-levels. And now I'm actually at the University of Zimbabwe studying pharmacy. So as you have said before, Lordwin is the reigning Mr. Albinism Africa, as well as the University of Zimbabwe SRC Vice President. So I think in a nutshell, that's Lordwin for you.
Okay, and I know there are a lot of things that we can talk about, but nekuda kwenguva, we don't want to delve much into how you grew up and how you got to be at university. Truda kutangira apapa pa mubairo uyu wawaka wina uyu. You were recently crowned Mr. Albinism Africa. Just take us through that journey.
So initially, I remember I started, modeling in 2021. That's when, in 2022 actually, that's when I went for Mr. Albinism Zimbabwe, which was actually held in. It was actually my first time to take part in any pageant whatsoever. In fact, about modeling. But I have always wanted to say, you know what, I need a platform where I can speak, where I can actually influence my fellow peers with albinism. So when I went for Mr. Albinism, by God's grace, I got the title, and which necessitated the work that we've been doing around Zimbabwe. So now when the opportunity to go now for Mr. Albinism Africa, well, I knew it was a big feat, but I had to take it because I understood that it's a platform where we get to amplify the voices on albinism and how to kind of change the narrative around albinism. So when the opportunity came, I took it, and by God's grace, we are here today discussing about the title.
Makorokoto. I can't say that enough. So what inspired you to really enter the competition, and how did you overcome my doubts? Anenge aripo itoziva kuti vamwe vanotaura kaunzi ungazvigone ungakwanisa kukwikwidzana neAfrica iwe. How did you manage to really overcome those doubts and the challenges that you faced?
First and foremost, I would say that the drive in me has always been to be that source of inspiration. As also because I always say this, that I've seen that within the disability community actually as a whole, and even albinism, usually we lack people who shows us that we can do anything. We can go for one thing, I can do this, I can do sometimes we lack those role models. So I've always said to myself, if I am to do anything in this life, I have to show my other peers that you can do whatever you want, you can go for whatever you want. And to be honest with you, the doubts usually comes because I remember when I was looking at the contestants that were there, like, oh wow, I think this guy is more cooler than I am.
Wow.
You know how it is. But that drive that I've just started to say that I need to be that person who shows other people the way, it continues to push me to say, you know what, I'm going to put it a try. If I don't get it, at least I know I've tried, than to live with regret. So I can say in a nutshell that actually that's what propelled me to actually go for this youth fit.
If you're just joining us, this is the Disability Factor on your number one station, Star FM, sounding good all the time. And tonight we are discussing the journey of reigning Mr. Albinism Africa, Lordwin Timire, who is also University of Zimbabwe SRC Vice President. You see, he's a man who's wearing so many hats. Yeah, but tonight we want to focus on the pageant that he participated in. Yeah, so let's talk about the specific duties and responsibilities that have come with this title. Are there any official expectations that you are required to meet during your reign?
Yeah, actually a lot of them. Like what I've said, it's a title which comes with a huge responsibility because as it stands, we want to change the narrative of albinism across Africa. Actually, for the longest, people have not yet understood what albinism is all about. A lot of people have not yet grasped that albinism is a genetic condition. It's not a case. It's not something that comes as a punishment. Maybe when they think that your parents have done anything outside the wardrobe or something. It's just a genetic condition which comes as a result of your father and mother having that gene, a recessive gene for albinism. So the first assignment actually is to change the narrative around albinism, raise more awareness and more awareness across Africa. That's the first responsibility which comes with a title. Secondly, we are talking about how albinism comes as a condition, comes with a bit of challenges. For example, albinism comes with short eyesightedness. Albinism comes with being vulnerable to the UV light and sunlight. So we also want to continue to advocate and see to it that people with albinism, they get the necessary resources, specifically sunscreen lotions within the member states across Africa. That's one of the assignment and the responsibility that I have, and we have actually started to engage with different member states to see how best can we then help people with albinism, because they are actually models. Other countries they are doing something that we other countries also across Africa should emulate. I'll give an example. In Kenya, people with albinism are provided with sunscreen lotions. In South Africa, people with albinism are provided with sunscreen lotions. So that's what we also want to look into, to say how best can we help people with albinism, because as it stands, people with albinism are actually very vulnerable and at the verge of extinction, if I may use that word, because we talk about climate change. We are saying climate change, we are complaining about all those things, but for albinism, it's actually a life threat. So I would say these are some of the responsibility that actually carries with the title.
Anzi Makorokoto Lordwin and Teacher Bernard coming through our WhatsApp platform. Stanford Chuma representing Highfield. Hans tinotenda na Albinism Africa. All right.
Thank you so much.
Iwawe ndiwo wa Albinism Africa. Hans tawashuvira kuramba vachienderera mberi. Mr. Livewire Stanford Chuma. Thank you so much for that. Hans very inspirational, energetic, intelligent, confident and vibrant young model.
Thank you so much.
Chairman Black Moses by Highfield Community Gym at Zim Hall. Thank you so much. Yeah. Vamwe munokwanisa kutitevera zvekare pa Facebook. Munongoenda pa page redu re Star FM. Munotevera conversation yatiri kuita na Mr. Albinism Africa anonzi Lordwin Timire achitiudzawo rwendo rwaafamba kuti asvike pakuwina title E. Okay, so this title, which is representing an entire continent,
yes,
obviously it comes with immense pressure. How are you navigating the expectation of speaking for such a diverse community of people with albinism whose experiences can vary from country to country?
To be honest, as you have said, the title really comes with immense pressure, and also actually the need to now then understand how people with albinism are living in all these member states across Africa, right? Because I was used to to speaking about challenges of people with albinism in Zimbabwe. But now we want to look at in Swaziland, people with albinism, how are they being treated? The government, is it recognizing people with albinism as a group that needs to be protected? In Tanzania, how are people with albinism being protected? Are they being subjected to abductions, and killings? And so it means that it now requires me to actually understand the scope of albinism across Africa. So it's so far I've actually, whilst I've actually started the work, but I've been putting more time to understand each and every situation of people with albinism in different countries. So I've engaged a number of people in all different countries, and I still continue to do that, so that when we advocate with clarity. We don't want to just put an umbrella term to things, but we want to say, in Tanzania, can we have people with albinism being protected? We need laws. In Zimbabwe, can we have people with albinism being provided with sunscreen lotion? In South Africa, can we have more laws which protect people with albinism? So that's what I've been working with. And honestly, it requires actually one to have mentors. And so far, I've been in a process of finding people who guides me on how to do all these things.
Yeah, ndiri kuona mameseji ari kupinda akawanda. Pane ambotaura kuti une confidence. Let's talk about that, because we know that it's something that many young people struggle with, especially those with albinism, due to stigma and discrimination. Where did your self-confidence come from?
If you may allow me, and to be honest with you, as you have started, confidence is really a real issue within people with albinism and even across people with disability as a whole, actually. Because usually it's either one chooses to be, outspoken, or one chooses usually to just, under the cover. And most of us, we choose to be under the cover because of the environment. So I was not like this, actually. From when I was born, even up to form 4, I was not like this. But after my form 4, I got an opportunity. In fact, I got a scholarship from Higher Life, which allowed me to go through the leadership program, training for 1 year of leadership. Then after that, I went for A-level. So to be honest, that's where I was actually molded, because by that time, I thought I was confident back then. Even if you ask my fellow classmates at my former school, Form 1 up to Form 4, they say Lordwin was a bit talkative. But to be honest, I was not this confident where I cannot just give in a mic and speak. But that's where I was actually molded, because I used to think that I was confident, but I was not. I was just basing a bit of, I don't know if it's confidence, but where you know that you are good at something. So you kind of, say, you know what, yes, I'm good at school. So you guys, whether you like it or not, you have to kind of respect me. But that environment that I was exposed to with Higher Life at Star Leadership Academy, it molded me to look at myself for the person that I am, and also to be able to speak for myself.
Tinotenda zvikuru kana muchangotibata chirongwa disability factor panepfenyero ino yeStar FM. Tiri kukurukura naLordwin Timire, ndiye akawina mubayiro weMr Albinism Africa, huye ndiye Vice President weSRC yeUniversity of Zimbabwe. Vachimiririra vamwe vadzidzi vari mumakoreji umu. Tanzwawo confidence dzaanadzo kuti aiwa munhu ari kuziva zvaanenge achiita. So many people feel that societal perceptions define who they are. How have you managed to rise above the stereotypes and redefine what it means to be a person with albinism in Zimbabwe and Africa?
And just to allude again, to reiterate the point that you actually stated, that sometimes people ended up their lives being defined by what the society says. It's very true. I remember growing up, I was very shy, and I was not as confident as you have just said, because I used to listen to what people say, because most people just thought maybe albinism was a chaos. They just said a lot of names around it. So to me, it kind of affected me to a certain extent. But if there is one thing, if I have to be honest, I think there are two sides of our people with disabilities, people with albinism. There are those who choose to prove a point to the society. Then there are those who just say, well, what they are saying, it could be true. Then just believe what the people are saying. So for me, I think I chose the other side of wanting to prove a point. I've always wanted to prove a point, to say, you know what, you think that I'm not good enough, you think that I'm not capable enough, I'm going to try and prove you wrong. That has been my motive. Honestly, I was very competitive, usually, back then. Very, very competitive. Even in school, I was competitive to an extent that if I don't get the first place, it would affect me a lot, because I had anchored my confidence around what I was good at. That's how competitive I was. But now, obviously, with time, yes, I'm still competitive, but now I understand that whether I get something or I get to pass, it does not define who I am. So I would say I just chose to be bold enough, and I just chose to show the world that I can actually do it.
Indeed. Teacher Bernard Vatsoka Zvikare. And congratulations, Lordwin. Stand up strong, my dear brother. Speak up for the voiceless. I've been moved to hear you speak. And let me say to the nation, albinism is a condition that affects skin and sight and not the brain. So even those with albinism can excel. Lordwin has proven it. Thank you so much. Anzi namai ano ukwamurewa. Hanzi hoyo Lordwin, Mr. Albinism Africa. Makorokoto vaudze vamwe vanongotyira kure. Vasina confidence. Vasachka. Thank you so much, mai ano ne kurudziro yenyu. Nguva dzedu ndo dziri kumhanya. Ma-messages ari kupinda. Unfortunately, ndiri kutenda vese vari kutumirawo ma-comments avo pa Facebook page redu Star FM vachiteverawo conversation yatiri kuita. Unfortunately handikwanisa kuti ndinge ndichikudomai nemazita mese ndiri kukuonai makawanda asi ndiri kuda kuti tipete chirongwa chino tichinzwawo kuti holding this title obviously has changed your life. Yes. On a personal level. Has it opened doors to conversations or opportunities that were previously closed?
Well, to a greater extent, honestly. Firstly and foremost, obviously, I would say it's because of, overall, it's because of the title that even today I got an opportunity to get to be talking to you. It's one of, actually a huge opportunity. I know there are a number of people who would want to actually be here. So, firstly, I would say the title, firstly, has opened the doors for me. And also, then, secondly, yes, it did, because I was actually, invited to get to represent people with albinism as the SADC Youth Forum that is supposed to be held in Swaziland as it stands. So if all goes well, I'm going to actually go and attend. We're still looking for funding around it, but I actually got an invitation from them, which is actually a big fit as it stands. And also in November, I was also extended an invite. I'm going to be crowning Miss Albinism South Africa, which is actually another opportunity. So which means in November, I'm going to be attending that conference. So if another opportunity that we actually got was if all goes well, we're going to be going to Nairobi, Kenya, where we're going to be attending a conference on climate change and health, mainly talking about albinism. So I would say it really opened many doors for me, honestly, as it stands. And I actually see more and more doors being opened because of the title that we now hold.
November is actually my birthday month. Saga, can I be your handbag?
No problem.
Okay, so what advice would you give to other young people with albinism across the country and across the continent who have dreams but held back by the fear of societal expectations?
There's a saying that I always like to share. To say that there's one person who said that a ship can only sink if it allows water to enter inside. Mm-hmm. What that means is, obviously, we are in a world where we cannot silence all discrimination. Of course, we are trying by all means to change the narrative, to actually make sure that the environment is conducive to everyone. We are saying the community is supposed to actually take care of everyone, understand what albinism is all about, but we cannot silence each and every voice. It's something that we understood, but we always encourage the young people with albinism, young people with the disability to say, you know what, as a person, if you accept yourself for who you are, you're not supposed to allow what sometimes the world say, because it might be out of ignorance and lack of understanding. But as an individual, if you going to shoot for the stars, if you're going to go for whatever you want, you're supposed to do that. Nothing should actually, affect you because you think that the condition that you have can limit you. Try new things. Let's try. Let's go for our goals. I think that's what I would say for the youngsters out there.
Ernest Fulao, Mavuku Tafara National Disability Association Secretary. Anze, hi bro, just wanted you to know that you are loved and valued no matter what. Your uniqueness is okay. Right. Ma
Thank you
message
so much.
arikupinda akawanda andu akutoita achirasika. Let me see ndidzokere kuna Mr. Fulao. Okay. Anzi, your uniqueness is what makes you special, and don't let anyone ever make you feel otherwise. Keep shining your light and know that you're not alone. You've got a support system that cares about you deeply. Keep pushing forward and know that you're capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
for
Mr. Fuller.
Yeah. Okay. Anzi, teachered. Who's teachered now? All right. Anzi, I went to all right. I don't think in chekuita nesu. Gezani Bruce padombo shava tinotenda sterek nema messages amuri tumira tinotenda zvikuru. Unfortunately nguva dzedu ndo dzamhanya. Beyond the title, what is your ultimate vision for a future where such titles would no longer be needed to fight for a basic human right and dignity?
As I've said earlier on, that I've always believed that we need to have more people with albinism, more people with disabilities getting to be the decision makers, getting to be involved in policy making and decision making. So where I see this going, even for myself as well, I would love to see a future where we have more people with disabilities, more people with albinism actually, taking part in policy making and government, in parliament. That helps now then to say we will not be complaining about people with albinism not having sunscreen lotions. We will not have a situation where we have people with albinism being discriminated, because there will be laws, there will be policies, there will be actually education which is tailor-made to cater for all those things. So the future that I see, it's a bright future, a future where we have people with disabilities spearheading policy making and spearheading the change that we really need.
Indeed. Yeah, Anzi, thank you so much, bro. You raised our flag high. Tinotenda, unfortunately, nguva ndo dzamhanya. Tasvika pamagumo chirongwa chedu. Tinotenda zvikuru. I was speaking there to Mr. Albinism Africa, Lordwin Timire, who is also University of Zimbabwe SRC Vice President, as he was sharing with us his journey paakapinda pageant iyi kusvikira paakawina mubayiro yekuti ange achitora title inoi. Thank you so much, Lordwin, for making time to talk to us.
Thank you so much for having me and also giving me the platform to speak to Zimbabwe.
Okay, and I also want to appreciate my producer, Mr. Norman Muchemwa. I also want to acknowledge Arnold Bangejano Shafla, who was making sure that we are coming to you live on our socials, and also to the engineers who are working tirelessly behind the scenes. I'm Siphathisiwe Mpofu. I'm back. Same time, same station next week on your number one station, Star FM, sounding good all the time. Templeman and Tanaman are up next. Good evening.
You've been